everybody, JP Moss here. Mandela effect research, reading articles online, instances of the Mandela effect, YouTube videos. There's a guy out there that was talking about how he swears up and down that his neighbors had, and he was very frightened when he made the video, that his neighbors had twin daughters his age he grew up with. He knew the name of the other girl, but she doesn't exist anymore. And he was very frightened when he made the video. He was driving, making the video, YouTube video, and he was talking about her history and who she was. You could hear it in his voice. He was scared. Another video is a woman, again very frightened, and she's talking about how people have approached her and claimed that she's dead, or that she had died, but there she was, very much alive. So there are others, and the lady that commented, I agree, I'm not going to take that anywhere. You know, and it's got a lot of people pretty distressed. You have to put on a brave face, and you know, we don't look for people to validate us, because the funny thing about the Mandela effect, they can't. You can't get validation in the Mandela effect, because often we're from another, because if we're from another reality, another parallel Earth, unless they're from that parallel reality with us, they're not going to validate it. On mass Mandela effect issues, like the Berenstain Bears or the Oscar Mayer hot dogs, and the spelling of Jiffy peanut butter, which it's apparently now Jif peanut butter, and it just goes on and on from there. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. The rock group Queen, the end of the song is not "We are the champions," and then Freddie Mercury says "of the world." Apparently, I remember that he said "of the world." So I think I'm for a lot of you, I think I share the same past with you. But have you ever stepped back and take any notes and write down what you think you can remember of that other reality for a moment? Just for a moment. Do you remember hearing about the school teacher on the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1986, Krista McAuliffe, that went up? Do you remember the broadcasts from space? Do you remember when she got to space and she was broadcasting live television, teaching classrooms on Earth in America from the space shuttle? Well, no, of course you don't. Some of you, a lot of you are going to think that's ridiculous. The shuttle exploded and killed these people. Well, the odd thing is, while I can remember when I was 14 years old, January of 1986, when that happened, 13 turning, I was going to be turning 14. I remember the disaster, but I also have this residual memory, not as clear, but it's something that it just bugs me about that. I'm not really sure what that means. This is so out there. This is so dispelling the myth of false memory syndrome. Because if it's not a real memory, then I shouldn't be able to go back to that and let it talk to me. Because a memory can talk to you. You don't have to, you know, if you fabricate something or you imagine something, well then you have to go back and someone asks you about it, and then and if you tell them about something, as like say it's a fact, okay, it's not going to come out the same, because it's not talking to you. A memory talks to you. Memories talk to us, and it's not something that goes away. It's not something that I've imagined or fabricated. It's not something that's How can it be false memory when you remember the other event too? Well, how do I have a history, two histories in my head? Well, I do remember something like that about Krista McAuliffe getting up there, and she transmitted from space, and they were. I remember the television broadcast of her teaching from space on the Challenger, and Onizuka and all the others on the shuttle came back to Earth. That lady with the black hair, they all came back to Earth. This is really weird. I'm not really sure what is going on in this instance. I'm not really sure about that. When you can remember both things, and it doesn't stop there. I've had some strange things happen where I can remember. I know I can remember doing things in my life I know I never did. I know I can remember things I never did. I'm sure I didn't do. There's even some strange I call it residual memory because it's not very clear, but I can go back to it. I can write it down, and it's not clear. And I know there's just no way these events happen because I'm in England. All my identification comes from Texas, where I grew up. I have an ID card, everything. It all says Texas. Well, I've even got a residual memory of growing up in California with a lady that came out from California claiming to be my mom. That's really weird. I thought I'd share that. I'm not really sure how that ties into the Mandela effect or what's going on. I'm not really sure what's going on. But over the last few years, it's become more and more. It's becoming clearer in my head. It's becoming almost like I'm merging with another reality. And I can remember. I somehow or other I've got a memory growing up in Texas, and lately I've been having this faded sort of residue life in California with Annette, and I'm with my. Well, I'm aware they're my brothers and my sisters, and I've been made aware of the fact that there's this younger child, this younger sister that Annette had in the 80s, so I'm not the only one, and her name is Nina, and I guess as public people go, there's a lot of reasons why illicit affairs or babies that have been had out of wedlock can be a little complicated for people's images involving Disney, and if these people are Catholics and if they've got a lot of money tied into them, especially if these situations involve government figures or there's something that would be embarrassing to a lot of others. I don't know. I mean, it's not putting her down, but and again, I'm just only topping on that point. I'm not pushing that, but I mean, this is just what's come up. I remember, I can't say I remember, but it's like a residual. Well, I don't know. I remember a swimming pool in the backyard of a house. I remember being in the house. I remember being in her house. I remember growing up around these people. And this has become more, this is like, I don't know how to describe this. It's like two realities merging. I know what happened in my past in this reality. And I'm also 46 in that reality. And I'm having dreams at night, and I'm waking up, I'm married, and I'm in California still. And Annette's still alive, she's in her 70s. And I think she's like 76. She never got multiple sclerosis. And there's this this other reality. I can't describe this. It's like I'm telling the wife in California, I'm waking up and I'm going, "Hon, I keep having these weird dreams." It's like I'm having dreams that I'm in that reality, and I'm waking up telling my wife that I'm in this other world. I'm in England, involved in UFO research. I was abducted from Mom. CIA mafia involvement. I grew up in Texas, and she's laughing at me, thinking the whole thing is funny and bizarre and sounds crazy. And I'm going, yeah, but I don't know what's going on. But I keep seeing me like another me, living in this really bizarre world or other reality, as I'm telling her. And then I'm waking up here in England, and I'm going, wait, what is going on here? Because now I'm aware. It's like looking in a mirror, but not seeing my reflection identical. But he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. But that life with her, and there's a black-haired woman involved in this named Julia running around, a family member who's always been there. And I grew up with her. And there's these grandparents, there's these aunts and uncles, well, their wives, there's cousins, there's all this other world going on. There's this family in New York, big family, mass family, about like 1 million cousins everywhere. Mom is carrying on doing movies and cartoon shows. She voiced over some stuff. It's like a whole other world is beginning to open up in my head. And sometimes I'm a little disturbed by what that. I feel as if I'm in some kind of drift, like I'm in some kind of a like an out-of-body experience. I found myself going, what the hell's going on? What? You know, I know my history. I know all that. And I don't think I'm going to wake up one day and say to you in a video, that's my history and those things really happen. I don't think so. I mean, this is very different from the more concrete memories of the book I wrote and her coming to me. And then I'm telling this wife in California, I'm having dreams and I'm waking up. I don't want to confuse you. I'm having dreams. I'm another me in another reality, and I'm waking up explaining to my wife, because I'm not married right now, but explaining to my wife in California that that I had contact with an alien girl in this other world, this other Earth, and I've been making videos about it, and I've been talking about it, I've been writing books about it, and it's like I feel almost jealous of him, well, me rather, because my life in California almost seems a bit humdrum. I mean, I love the woman I'm with in the dream, and she's very pretty. She's blonde. She's an actress herself, and here this is a twist. In the dream, she's the actress. Because I've been watching the films again, and I don't want to do that. I don't want. God, I'm going to say that. She's Heather. She was in movies, Poltergeist. I don't want to go down that road too much, but I mean, all I know is it's just a weird, bizarre dream of another reality, and I love her as much as I love her. And she's, we have kids. It's like I have a history of something. We met, we married. She's producing, directing, writing, but she's been in and out of television. I don't know. There were issues in the marriage. I mean, this is really freaky stuff here. But in this reality, I know that that person died in 1988. 1988 when she was 12. That would have been completely not possible to have dealt with her in this reality because she's been dead for 30 years. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, I know when I'm there, in the dream, I'm looking through life through that body as if I know all of that life, and I'm looking back at this reality, and I'm going, well, this is the dream. This is the weird thing. This is the thing that's not real. This is the thing that's really bizarre. In a way, I'm a little jealous because I'm like, well, as much as I love Heather and I'm married, I feel there's something. It's like there's more of an excitement or more of an adventure in this reality. I guess I'm allowed to do more here because I can go to the woodland. I can do entity research in the woodland and infrared photography of unknown entities and things like that. I've put that out there. I've got those pictures. I've contributed to the UFO community in that sense. It's been validated. It's you know, it's very, very odd stuff, but it's there, and I'm a contactee. You know, and I know the whole UFO alien subject itself is something that's not accepted by a lot in this reality, but over there it seems like there's a sense that that reality seems to be a bit, although it's a bit constricted too. It seems something entirely different from another this is like the third alternate reality when you think about it. This is a third alternate reality peering in, and the other one of the book I wrote about Annette coming to me is another reality of that alternate universe. So this is a third alternate reality peering in, and that's really freaky. It frightens me a bit. I don't want to wake. I don't want to have a. I don't like to quote science fiction, but you know the Star Trek episode in The Next Generation, where it was horrifying. There was an episode where there was suddenly alternate universes of the Starship Enterprise appeared in one reality and in this universe, but they all began to appear, and there was too many. They just kept coming in because there's a theory. There's millions of alternate realities. There was like millions of Starship Enterprises all coming in. All were very different, very creepy, very strange. I suppose if one really didn't, if you let it get to you too much, you think, my God, I don't want all that popping in my head, or I don't want to be flying all over the place. You might run out and start throwing up, just having a panic attack, and start sit down and have a good old throw up and shake and and freak out because you're like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? Well, there's research into two hypotheses, which is that this is to do with alien abduction phenomena, and CERN, the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland, which, as you know, I'm in England. That's a stone throw. That's far for me, but not as far. And it seems to be affecting people around the collider. But because there's people in America with the same effect and around other parts of the world, I honestly can't think that the Large Hadron Collider, I can't rule that out. Anyhow, the LHC may be responsible. Alien abduction phenomena could be responsible. The theory there being that because these aliens reside in a higher dimension, our connection to them is pulling us up into that reality and the abduction experience phenomena, and then putting us back down, but not in the same Earth reality, or having connection to them there in any case. We're being altered. So the theory would be like, we're in the third dimension. We look down at people in this world called Flatland, and they're all squares and circles, but they have no concept of spheres and rectangles and rectangles, or cubes, spheres, or 3D objects. Well, if I were to keep picking up a flat square person and looking at them and putting them back down on the board, the theory being that they start developing height or up. In flatland, in the second dimension, there is no up. So the theory being that they would start developing a sense of up, or they start transforming interdimensionally and becoming more not second dimensional anymore. But if, in any case, if you can take a flatlander from the second dimension and pick them up and hold them here in the third dimension, look at them, you've automatically altered their physics. And they really can't exist in the third dimension without having some sense of up or depth. Where in their dimension they're infinitely flat. So if I can pick them up at all and put them back down, I'm altering their physics. Their existence is altered. Now they've become multidimensional flatlanders. In a sense, they're third-dimensional people living in the second dimension. Well, in that regard, if you go to the fifth dimension, for example, you should be able, in theory, to look down not at the third dimension individually, one history of Earth, but all histories of the third dimension, and even where the Earth didn't exist and the universe played out differently. So the fifth dimension isn't connected, in theory, to this space-time, this third dimension. This is something it's way out there. Well, then, in that sense, you would be altered fifth dimensionally. You're a fifth dimensional person, and perhaps Mandela effect people are alien abductee, contactees, experiencers. All these names apply, and have been drawn. We're developing an extra up, an extra dimension to us. But what would that look like? Well, we would still look like third dimensional people. We don't have special powers. Well, you don't get special powers. You wouldn't be like, doing things like that. Because it's just an extra space, an extra direction of space that from this dimension we can't point into. So the theory being, but in the mental sense, in the mind is energy, and is a quantum string, a quantum field, because there's a soul that exists when we die, and it goes there in the higher dimensions to be with loved ones. Well then, in that regard, being altered by alien contact, you would be perceiving and remembering and maybe connecting into other parallel Earths and seeing realities because of this connection. And I have to say that really stands up more as a probability of a possibility of the Mandela effect than the Large Hadron Collider, CERN. That can't be ruled out. One lady did a YouTube video, and she was saying that all of us all over the Earth are no more than about 40 miles from a super collider, an atomic super collider, because they're being built everywhere. Almost every country on the planet is building them. Well, that's interesting. Okay. But like I said, I think more than one reality is coming in and beginning to kind of peer through my consciousness. And I don't think it's going to be. I'm not going to be sitting down and writing books all day. Well, this happened, this happened. Like I said, that's quite distant. This other thing I'm reporting, very distant. It's more residual, fragmented. It's just a dream, I'm sure, but a recurring dream. And I'll wake up here and think, like I've just had a conversation with myself. And so we're connected as one, me and him, and we're passing through some kind of tube or something to that effect, and we're one. What he doesn't get is the whole alien contact thing. He's my other me, I'll put it, has no idea what that is. He's in California. He's been raised by a net. And he doesn't have any idea what this means. He has absolutely no idea what any of this is. He doesn't have a clue, and he's actually quite shaken by what is coming up. Because his wife was in paranormal films in her childhood, it's kind of like, and she did that in that reality, and in my dreams she carried on doing part 4 and part 5 and part 6. And in part 6 of the Poltergeist saga, she apparently, in those dreams I've had, she's a young woman in the 1990s, and in that movie she's a paranormal researcher herself. And it goes back to part 1 in the early 80s, where the character that Heather played in the early 80s in the first film of Poltergeist was, in fact, the house was sucked in and all like that. And she's going out and trying to explore what that means and what gates and dimensions. And so it's kind of like, in that reality, I'm waking up telling her about these dreams of me in this reality, and she's looking at me and she's saying, but that was my movie I did in the 90s about dimensional gates and other realities. That was my movie, hubby. Go back to bed. And I'm like, or he, or me rather, is like, well, yeah, he's not really sure, or rather, I'm not really sure. When I'm there, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's going on. Mandela effect is some crazy stuff. But like I said, if you start to get anything of like other realities or residual memories of other events or dreams like this, share it please, make videos or comment below. Share this video or others if you want, to try to add to the collective body of this work of what's going on. Like I said, it's really, really out there. I don't know what, I don't have a clue about this. Like I said, it's a whole other universe. And this is recent, and it's more like just dreams or something. It's really weird. I can feel that it's recent. Let's talk about that before I end the video. I can feel this is recent. This is not. So I don't know what's happening. But years ago, in 2010, I began to remember meeting Annette, having those experiences with that Benico. And I wrote those books over the last 8 years. Clearly I was, this is something I know was in the distant past, and I was taking it as resurfaced memories, and I went to research, and I got a lot of validation to things, but then I found a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about, and I know these people were there at the time, in the early 90s, and I know I met people who were like, I never met you. Okay, but that I know it feels like long-term memory. Okay, and long-term memory of another reality. Alright, so I've slid from that reality. Okay. This recent stuff about having been raised in California doesn't feel like long-term memory. It actually does feel pretty distant. It does feel like something very detached, much further away. Like a parallel Earth, 3 or 4 steps that direction. It's really something very very different, and it's an okay life. I don't want to run it down, but there's it's like he's envious of me, or my other me. When I'm there or I'm in him, he's looking into this and he thinks this is all the dream. This is too bizarre to be real. He's like, what? He had a very sheltered life with her, and I know in this reality Annette married Glenn Horse Rancher. But I know when I'm there in those dreams, and I'm in him. She didn't marry the horse rancher. She married a weightlifter in the early '80s, some big jockey guy that she'd been seeing that no one knew about, and he helped her out with something back in the '80s, and he's a big old guy. He's a weightlifter, and none of that really matters. Anyhow, he was my stepdad, or their stepdad, and he carried on doing, she helped him make fitness shows and get into television and do his own brand of fitness work. He saved her from something, and I heard rumors. It's really, really wild. One has to just take it all, okay. No, I won't sit down one day and say those events happened to me. That I can say does feel very much like another me in another reality that I've somehow connected up with. And like I said, if you let it bother you, you could just, because you start thinking about that Star Trek episode, millions of enterprises appear, and it all gets out of control, and I hope that doesn't happen. That would be real awful. Yeah, you start having a panic attack, run out of the house, vomiting, and just freaking out, Oh, help me. There's got to be some boundary to alternate universes. We don't want to be looking at everything. So I think you either have to start accepting the fact that it's a higher dimensional presence, entity, alien contact, or Benico, etc., that is your connection, guide, contact, being, or whatever, and connect to that source, and accept that that's what you are, and then accept that, and then you find the controls are there, and you're not going to be like in your head just connecting everywhere. It's like getting a new site, and you want to put some boundaries on that, and you want to put something established, a parameter that doesn't just all of a sudden blow your mind out with millions of other alternate Earths and think, oh my God, today I saw this today. And I know if I connect with Benico, then there's that reality where I'm feeling that love and that connection with her. And I feel okay, and I know that there's a control here. I know that I'm not going to drift all over the place. There may be a reason that one specifically is coming to me. I don't know. It is nice, I have to say, to feel or have some sense of a life with that lady. That like she raised me. There's all this stuff, and those dreams are coming out where she is grounding me in my room as a little boy. She was kind of a strict mommy. I had to go to school every day, and it was like, at times she seemed a bit of a distant mom, but a loving mom. And there's bedtime, reading to me at bedtime, things like that. School. It's all very good. It's just there's ups and downs like in any parent-child relationship. And then there's I was public, I was known, and I grew up. I've got that sense of a memory that I grew up there, and some people didn't die in that reality, and I met with this girl, and then these things happened, and we got off together, and one thing led to another. Anyways, that's my video. I'll see you Saturday, June 16th, 10 p.m. I'm hoping that we're going to have a good, clean video feed. I will speak slowly because I noticed when I looked at my last live feed, it looked freakishly weird and warped. Anyways, and then my head was a bit digitized a few times with pixels and squares, and then it came back to normal again, and I went, is this thing... My head got long, and it went back to normal again. And then there was like instances in the video where I was talking about something and I was going, and then this happened, and that and the other, and I was in the woodland, and it over there with the trees, and so yada yada, and then all of a sudden I was sitting there talking about that, and then walked home with the bike, and I won't ever tolerate that again. And I was like, what what happened? Where's the 10 minutes of that conversation? I don't know. So, I mean, I hope it's a clean feed. Cross fingers. But I'll take your questions and I'll share with you. We'll all share good stuff. There's a woodland here in England I'm going to do some research in, get infrared pictures. I've got a video to upload. I've been promising. An entity is seen walking alongside me. What's the relevancy to this? Well, again, Mandela effect, alternate dimensions, higher dimensional research, entities from higher dimensions. All of this applies. All of this is connected. And so just keep pushing forward with that groundbreaking research. I'm not alone in that. There's a guy here in England doing the same thing. He's done a lot of interviews. There's others. I think it's a good idea to push ahead with infrared photography, infrared video of the night sky, of UFO hotspots, of wooded areas, Rendlesham Forest, or anywhere in America there's a hotspot. I don't know. There's been some hotspots in Florida, UFOs, but infrared is the ticket. Go down there, go down that road, because it's seeing into light spectrums that can't be seen with the naked eye, and possibly into resonant vibrations, frequencies from other dimensions. If it's an interdimensional contact, we don't, it's not really known how far an infrared detector or camera is going to be seeing into. And how would you know if it was from another dimension or not? And if you say, well, we know the infrared is only going to be seeing the infrared spectrum. Well, all right, but how far does the infrared spectrum go? Exactly. I mean, it's the wavelength, the bandwidths go off and off, and it's can it see higher dimensions? Is it picking it up? And so let's continue with that thought and that research. All right, thank you.